Fly fishermen agree that one of the best flies for bass and saltwater fly fishing is a foam-bodied popper. They also agree that one of the best materials for making that foam body is an ordinary foam flip-flop sole. In this episode of the Tying Bench, we'll be looking at a proven technique for making unique custom foam bodies for popping bugs. To make these bodies, you'll use an improvised lathe fashioned from a power drill and a finishing nail. You'll also need a piece of coarse grit sandpaper, as well as some finer sandpaper for final smoothing of the bodies that you create. You'll begin by cutting a strip of foam from one of your flip-flop soles. I like to cut these strips using heavy shears or scissors, and I cut the strip so that when viewed from the end, it's about as thick as it is wide. In other words, it has a roughly square cross-section. Now that you have a strip of foam prepared, you're ready to cut boxy blanks that you will use to create the bug bodies. I like to cut these so that they have a length roughly equal to about 2/3 of the shank of the hooks that I plan to use. To determine that length, I simply lay the strip beside the hook, take a look at where the cutting point should be, and then cut it. The result will be a rectangular block that we'll use as raw material when we go on to the next step. I'll usually cut out a number of blocky blanks at one time, often in different colors. That gives me choices when I sit down and start actually making the bug bodies. To turn the body blocks into finished bass bug bodies, I'm going to use an improvised lathe, which I'll fashion from a power drill and a 3 or 4 inch finishing nail. I have the option of using a smaller nail if I happen to be making smaller bodies. Now you're ready to mount the body blank on the nail and turn the body. Before mounting the body blank, though, take your scissors and cut the corners lengthwise to slightly round the blank. Then place the nail at the center of one end of the blank and work it through lengthwise, being careful to keep the nail centered the whole time. Now place the pointed end of the nail fully into the chuck of your drill and tighten the drill's chuck securely. You want to be certain that the drill's chuck has a solid grip on the nail before you begin shaping the body. Start your drill and then use the coarse sandpaper as a tool to rough out the shape that you want in the finished bug body. Don't use too much pressure or the paper will tend to grab on the soft foam. Instead, use a light touch, working back and forth and varying the angle to get the contours that you want. It only takes a few seconds to rough out the preliminary shape of the finished bug. With the shape roughed out using the coarse paper, now you can switch to finer sandpaper to smooth the body's surface. Here I'm using a sanding block of the sort designed for drywall finishing, and it makes quick work of smoothing off the bumps and ridges left on the foam by the coarse paper. It only takes a few seconds to finish the bug's surface, and you're ready for the next step. At this point, you may want to slightly round the front of the bug's body. That's what I'm doing here, using the flat face of the sanding block to slightly round the front face of the body. The bug's body is almost finished, but at this point it's easy to add some decoration. One thing I'll often do is put a few grooves in the body. I can use the corner of the sanding block to quickly cut those grooves. It adds a little texture and a little visual interest, and I might even highlight the grooves with a colored permanent marker when I'm done. So now you've got the popping bug bodies ready. All that's left is to put them onto the hook and add a few embellishments to turn it into a full-fledged topwater fly. That's what we'll do in part 2 of this video. Meanwhile, get out your power drill, find those old flip-flops, and make up a bunch of custom-turned popping bug bodies. Once you do, you'll be ready to create a whole fly box full of incredible bugs for the coming topwater season. Till next time, for the tying bench, I'm Steve Hudson. I'll see you on the water.